My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey boys and girls, welcome back. Today we got a special guest zooming in from Omaha. Owen Dashner is a very experienced real estate entrepreneur. Plus, he does a whole bunch else. He's involved in his own podcast show, puts on events, gets people interested and excited about real estate, helps them finance their deals, does his own deals. He's a busy kind of guy. So Owen, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
I appreciate it. I was kind of hoping you were in a warmer locale so I could at least live vicariously through you, but I think we're probably, we had 20 below wind chill. It sounds like that's probably normal for you this time of year, right?
Yeah, well, it is. That's why I'm heading down to Cancun next week. But
nice.
Anyhow. So Owen, give us a little snapshot of what real estate looks like for you in the beginning of 2026 as we're recording this.
Yeah. Quick backstory. I started about 20 years ago. I worked in corporate HR and recruiting, did that for about 20 years. I was investing on the side. I'd flip a house, buy a rental, flip a house, buy a rental, kind of rinse and repeat. Did that for a number of years, and eventually started buying like smaller multifamily. I started kind of scaling up the flipping business. So we were doing a lot more volume. I took on a partner. I got involved with the local RIA, which, we were talking about before we hit record. And that just led to a ton of opportunities. I got to meet a lot of really cool people in real estate, some investors that were making things happen, some up and coming people. And I started partnering with some really good operators. And that's been probably the linchpin for me being able to take the next step, scale up a little bit, invest in some different businesses, growth, that kind of thing.
Excellent. So right now, do you still have a significant portfolio, or is it more focused on investing more passively?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. To kind of finish the thought on, kind of what my portfolio was in 2026. After years of doing this, the transactional real estate, so like flipping, wholesaling, that kind of thing, and dumping that money back into rental properties. I have, if you look at what I own right now, you ask people like, oh, how many units do you have? And I'm like, oh God, how do you even answer that? Because I'm a JV in several deals. I own a lot of my own stuff. I've got like 30,000 square feet of office that I own with some partners. I invest in car washes. I had a title company. I've kind of like done a lot of those things. Yeah. So I've got most of my holdings are going to be in multifamily. I do have some other asset classes. I still have single family and some different, like I mentioned, car wash. But yeah, for the most part, my holdings have kind of morphed into mostly multis.
So these days, if I understand correctly, you're more on the lending side of things when it comes to real estate. Is that correct? You've got a private lending company, if I understand.
Yeah, that's right. I own Liquid Lending Solutions. We founded that company in 2020. Basically hard money, private money lending business. We've grown that to about $30 million.
Nice.
For money in the street that we have available in our capital stack. And then we're really looking to grow that. To answer your question about, is that mostly what I'm focused on? The last couple of years, I've kind of pulled back on the active transactional stuff. I was flipping about 30 to 50 houses there for about 7 or 8 years. Wow. And we didn't have really any staff. I had a business partner and we were kind of like handling all of it. So all the project management, all the admin stuff. And I got really burned out on it. And it became a lot more difficult too. When interest rates really rose like crazy, the market changed, it softened. It became a little bit more of a buyer's market than a seller's market. I was like, the lending business kind of crossed paths with flipping, and my passive income with the lending business basically eclipsed the flipping business. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, flipping houses.
I'm on the wrong side of the hammer.
Yeah. Like the money's great. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of sucks. Like you're dealing with problems all the time and everything. And I still do it. Don't get me wrong, but I've kind of taken a step back in that business to really step on the gas in the lending. And then I usually pick up, probably 2, 3, 4 larger properties a year. And those are usually in JVs. Sometimes I'll 1031 out of stuff that I've owned for a while. Maybe I have some debt resetting. and I need to get into a larger, bigger, more stabilized asset, that's typically what I like to do. So smaller number of deals, more units, focus on the lending business, and then, that kind of thing.
Smart. Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. So, Owen, tell me a little bit about how being really, really involved in your local RIA and doing the podcast has helped you grow your business or grow yourself professionally.
I think it's really hard to create a good reputation. It takes years and years and years. And that's something I have really paid a lot of attention to. I've shared everything that I do in my business. I've tried to just basically give away and help as many people as I possibly can. I didn't do this with any ulterior motive where I was like, oh, if I do this, they're going to do something for me someday. But honestly, that's what it's turned out to be. So the people that I've helped indirectly or directly, either through the podcast, meeting one-on-one, just giving advice to, that's came back in an avalanche to me in form, of deal flow, of opportunities and partnerships and so forth. So that is the number one thing that has, I wouldn't probably have anything else if I didn't have that. So it's been critical to my success. And I love it too. That's the easy part. For me, you have different personality types, and I'm definitely a type A. I love meeting with people. I love finding about their story. And that's a natural fit. It doesn't feel like work to me. So that's the best kind of work, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a lot of fun. So you mentioned something in some information you sent ahead of time about doing 104 coffee meetings over a couple of years. That's fascinating. Tell me a little bit about the backstory there and what that really looks like.
Yeah, that was a caffeinated year for sure. So I was really in a networking mode. I wanted to meet everybody that was making moves, and even people that hadn't done deals before, but they were really interested in the real estate space, because everybody starts somewhere, right? Even people that are killing it in their business or their career, you're a newbie. If you've never invested in real estate before, you don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. So yeah. I did 104 coffees. I set up a Calendly link, and I just said, I started posting in the active real estate groups that I'm a part of just on Facebook, right? So the Omaha Real Estate Meetup, the Omaha RIA group. And I just said, anybody wants to grab coffee with me, I'm opening up my calendar on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to be at this coffee place, and my calendar filled up. I'm not kidding you, Dave, literally within probably an hour or two. Wow. And for the year. And so I was booked out for the entire, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? So it was kind of honestly an accident. It was intentional going into it with the concept, but I didn't intend for it to necessarily have my whole year planned out for me. But it's so awesome how it ended up, because I have people that I met with back then that are now just crushing, and I can meet with them. We can talk about, remember when we had coffee together? So it's you can't predict how important those things are. It's like Johnny Appleseed. You go out and you sprinkle a bunch of seeds around. You have no idea which ones are going to take root and grow into a giant oak. So that's what's happened with a lot of the meetings I've had. And I'm just lucky to be, involved in that. I feel like I'm just having fun, and people are hey, you want to do this with me? And I'm like, sure.
That. Well, that's very interesting. So if I understand correctly, you're kind of going out for coffee anyhow, and you decided to, why not open up the calendar? And so did you book one meeting per day? Is that kind of how it worked? It was I
did one-on-one, a lot of one-on-ones. So most of those were either a couple of people or one-on-one. And eventually that morphed into, actually, I have a weekly coffee meetup now where there's usually about 20, 25 people that go to it. And it's usually experienced investors. So we call it our therapy session. So we'll have, it's called Caffeine and Cap Rates. And we all just basically talk about, hey, struggling with this. What do you guys do in a situation like this? And it's really nice because, you have a sounding board. It's not like you go to an event, you listen to a speaker for 45 minutes and you try and cram, 2 hours worth of networking into 15 minutes where you're just, throwing cards at people. Well, that doesn't work. So I like the more focused approach, the one-on-one, so I can hear somebody's story. And I was in recruiting for 20 years, so I did thousands and thousands of interviews. And so this was just kind of a natural fit for me, I think.
Very, very cool. So now that you've got kind of the group thing going once a week, what do you call it? Caffeine and cap rates?
Yep.
Something like, yeah, smart. So I'm just curious, logistically, how does that work? You got 20, 25 people coming to this thing. Has it morphed into like a 2-hour coffee thing or?
It is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's 2 hours. So it started out at like 10 a.m. to 11, and then everybody just kind of stayed longer and has started having more conversations. And then it ended up being like 12:30. And then I'm paying for this room every week. So it's like, I was just like, whatever, this is great. So, and then now again, I created this, I put it out on the calendar, and then randoms just show up all the time. So like people I've never seen before, they'll come in, they'll be like, is this a thing? Like, are you doing the coffee? And then I'll be like, yeah, come on in. And then now it's like, I have help. So people that come regularly, I can be like, hey, I have a meeting that day. Can you cover for me? And then, so it grew and like took a life of its own without me being there, which is exactly how I wanted it. So it's great. Now, sometimes I can actually show up and just like be in the crowd and like eat my own cooking, so to speak, and have somebody else run it. So that's why I love it. Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite things I do.
Well, I think that's brilliant. That's why I'm asking so many questions about it. So with that format, is it run kind of like a meeting? Do you have breakout? Like if you got 20, 25 people in there, does everybody get a chance to talk? Does everybody want to talk? Like, how does it kind of run?
Perfect question. So what I do at the beginning of every one of these is I have an icebreaker question, and it doesn't have to be real estate related. It could be like, what was the most impactful thing you bought for less than $500 in 2025? Something like that.
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of goes around the room. So what I have them do is they'll introduce themselves real brief, like, here's what I do, or here's what I'm focused on, and here's my icebreaker answer, right? So we go around the room like that. And then typically I'll have at least 1 or 2 deep dive topics. So maybe we'll underwrite live a multifamily deal or a self-storage or a different type of asset, so people can get an understanding of like, how do you even underwrite this? Like, what does that even mean? And so we'll do a dry run through that. And it's fun because, like if you ever get an OM from a broker, like let's say they sent one to me and one to you, and it was the same one. And they said, okay, your homework is you go and tell me what this property's worth. There's no way you and I are going to have the same answer on that. There's no way. And so that's what's fun about it is people, I think everybody understands single family. They know that a comp is a comp is a comp. You can add gold toilets. It's not going to make it worth magically $1 million more. But multifamily and commercial is a lot different. You have to value it differently. It's more based on the asset itself as opposed to the local. I mean, you get it, right? It's a completely different scenario. So we like to dig into those like kind of obscure assets that we can dig apart, and people, I think, get a lot out of it. And then we'll talk, other times about like, what's a problem you're having in your business? And then people can say, I'm really struggling with bookkeeping. And everybody in the room, everybody in the room has probably a bookkeeping contact. And so we share a ton of contacts, contractor info, that kind of thing. So it's a mix of both. There's information, and then there's like an exchange of information. So that's kind of how it's structured. And I think it seems pretty.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's a fantastic idea.
Popular. I mean, at least people keep showing up.
Yeah. Oh, you're breaking up on me a little bit here, Owen. There we go.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go. Okay. All right. There we go. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So you mentioned that this year you're really focusing on growing the lending business. Does that mean bringing on more capital so you can do more transactions? Does that just mean finding more clients? What does growing look like for you this year?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And with lending, it's weird, especially since I've gotten involved in this. Like I've always dealt with lenders when I'm buying a property, but I was never on the other side of the table. So learning that, being a lender versus using a lender is way different. So learning that business, what's legal, what's not, what can you do, how do you run it successfully? That was a big chunk of information to take in. But I think I'm sorry, Dave. What was your question? I don't want to get too far.
So for growing that business this year, what does that look like? Primarily focusing on more clients or more capital or both?
Most of the time, when you have a hard money business, typically you start out with your own money. You start taking friends and family money. Then you get a bank line of credit. Then maybe you grow a little bit more, and then maybe you start a fund, right? So we've done all of those. So I think there's kind of fits and starts that you grow your business with. we're to the point where we have a mix of investor capital. So basically, like if you wanted to get a passive return mailbox money on just some money you had sitting around, an accredited investor, as long as they had, 50 grand as a minimum investment, if you place that capital with us, we're going to obviously take that and put it into loans on investment real estate. And our job is to keep that capital deployed into good projects that are going to generate a solid return. And we take basically a spread. So we pay 8 to 10% depending on how much they invest, and we charge what we charge, and then we keep the delta.
Right.
So for us, adding capital can mean we get maybe, like right now we have about a $10 million line of credit at a commercial bank that we work very closely with. When you get access to lines of credit, it is a really good thing for your lending business because you can use that as a backstop. So if I took 50 grand from you and I now have it, I'm paying you regardless, whether we have that money deployed or not. So you're making your 8% every month, but if we don't have that money out, we're paying you and we're not getting any income, right? So when you have a backstop of a substantial line of credit, you're not using it, you're not paying it. So it's nice to have both. That way we can have our friends and family and people that we interact with grow with us and invest money with us, but we also have the bank backstop. And that way we're the risk of, a lot of people in 2008, 9, 10, they got credit lines frozen. They got, a lot of bad things happen when people relied solely on debt. And having the ability to operate without that is a nice freedom to have. Now, I hope we never get to that point, but if it did, if something went sideways with the economy and our bank line got frozen, we're still okay. So I think it's a nice balance to have both investor capital and bank lines of credit to be able to put that to work. And we have a 506c syndication fund where we can take money from accredited investors. So it's nice having all those things available. But that's the main focus this year is basically growing the hard money business, pick up a couple of nice, commercial assets, and then just keep the ball rolling.
Nice. Well, and fascinating stuff. Thanks for sharing some of your secret sauce there. I love what you're up to with the coffee meetings, transform it into a regular weekly group thing. That sounds really, really good. If people are listening or watching this, they want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. So Owen Dashner on LinkedIn, and then Instagram is another one. Owen Money Real Estate. I'm on both of those quite a bit. So we put out quite a bit of content. REIA Radio is our podcast, REIA Radio. We're on all the socials. So if you want to follow us there, find out more, we'd love to have you.
Awesome, Owen. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. This has been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.